Hi, I'm Joe from As the Joe Flies,
And I'm Leslie from Trips with Tykes.
and welcome back to Disney Deciphered. So, on today's episode, we still felt like we had a little bit outstanding stuff to talk about for Epic Universe, and so we are going to do that. We are going to do a tier list for Epic Universe. You may have seen these online. I will probably generate the image using tiermaker.com, which is a lot of fun. Now, you know that we've talked about S tier rankings for our ride guides and all that. So we're not going to go through a full ride guide for all 12 or 11 or 12 attractions at Epic Universe. I'll know by the end of this episode what that number actually is. I've already ranked them all. We're not going to go through a full ride guide, but we're going to talk a little bit about each attraction, and I have put them all into tier lists from F tier to S tier rankings. So, Leslie, before we get started, since I'm going to do a lot of the talking, do you have an attraction that you're like most looking forward to trying at Epic Universe? What's like at the top of your list?
So the Harry Potter Ministry of Magic attraction definitely looms large for me. I'm a big fan of Harry Potter. Loved the other rides that are there, so I kind of want to just complete that loop and see the third park. So that's big for me. I think my son, I know it's everything in Super Nintendo World is big for him. So probably Mario Kart for him. But did you go in with some sort of a preconceived notion of like this is going to be the ride that's for me or anything like that, or went in pretty unknowing?
I went in pretty vanilla. I went in with the notion that Isle of Berk was going to be the land for me, and it did end up being the land for me. But other than that, I was pretty open, and there were places where I was surprised, and there were places where I was disappointed. I didn't have a ton of expectations, but even based on my expectations, I did have some of those feelings. Friendly spoiler warning. We're not going to spoil these attractions in full, but I may discuss some of the things, some of the features of the attraction, some of the things that happen. So if you want a fully spoiler-free episode, you may want to wait till you go to Epic Universe or just take a look at the tier ranking that I put up once I finally make that at tiermaker.com with ads. I'm using the ad version. All right, so let's get started. The good news, Leslie, is I do not have any F tier attractions here at Epic Universe, at least as of right now, but I do have two D tier attractions. So I will start with the attraction that is the lowest on my list, and that is Fyre Drill, which is a water-based attraction in the Isle of Berk. I've taken some copy from Universal's website about each of the attractions just to give you something to say during the episode, Leslie. So tell us what we got for Fyre Drill here.
All right. It says, blast away in a watery boat battle. This watery sea adventure has water cannons, lots of water, that shoot over 28 feet through the air to reach the many targets throughout the ride, along with other Viking ships. So, I get a flavor of this, Joe, from our episode with Sean, and this is definitely my D tier and maybe my F tier, and I haven't even ridden it yet. But yeah, you get wet, right? And that's a negative for me and for you as well.
Yes, they do hand out free ponchos, disposable ponchos at the entrance as of right now, at least. I don't know if eventually budgets will get to that. So that does help. The boats move very slowly, so slowly that, they don't even stop when you're boarding them. And the premise of the ride is that you are trying to put out fires in the Isle of Berk because, in just the town, because things are on fire. If you hit the right thing, then you put out the fire, I guess. If you hit the wrong thing, you get sprayed. And this is not to mention cross spray between boats, which there are definitely angles where you can do that. I think the kids are going to have a ton of fun on it. There's a place where you can stand and just watch the kids the whole entire way. You can see them through the whole entire attraction. So personally, I'm probably dropping them off and going to ride that. Aside from getting wet, the other reason why this is D tier for me is just Toy Story Mania, Buzz Lightyear, Space Ranger Spin, and even Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, which is in Epic Universe, of course. I think the big difference between those attractions and this attraction is like you get a score for what you did. These targets are totally analog. You're physically, which I guess is nice, you're physically hitting the target and it's spinning around, but not having a score, not having that level of competition really keeps it as a D tier for me. Maybe on a really hot day that's not humid, it'll be nice, but still getting my shoes wet, and it's tough to not get your shoes wet at points. D tier attraction for me. Second D tier attraction is found in the Dark Universe portal, and that is Curse of the Werewolf. I should say that I think some people really like this, but for me, this is a D tier attraction. What do we got here, Leslie?
All right. Universal says, into the lair of the wolf. Curse of the Werewolf tears through the dark forest at 37 miles per hour for over 2 minutes of sheer thrill, racing through a dark, foreboding shed with mysterious figures clawing ever so near. That's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, and honestly, I got none of that from the attraction when I was on it. Didn't get much of the story. We talked about this a little bit on our first episode about Epic, but it really does seem like the budget ran out here a little bit. You can see a parking lot or like a backstage lot during the attraction. They definitely need the landscaping to fill in. It's a spinning roller coaster, so I don't love that as well, just as an attraction type. So really don't would have given us a higher score if the theming was better, because the ride itself, it's fine and kids will have a lot of fun on it. But for me, it's a D tier. Like I have no desire to ride this attraction again, honestly, and I won't until my kids do it. I'd probably actually, even though I like Fyre Drill less, I'd probably ride Fyre Drill before I ride this, just because at least my kids would want to go on it, and I'll go on it with them to like yell and scream with them. Whereas on Fyre Drill, they're going to be hitting me with the water, and I don't need that in my life. So Curse of the Werewolf, D tier.
Okay, so is it more of a spinning coaster like Primeval Whirl versus like Cosmic Rewind? I'm assuming so based upon like where you have ranked it. Does it like spin a lot, like a teacup amount of spin, or is it a controlled spin like Cosmic Rewind?
It's a controlled spin like Cosmic Rewind, and it's moving faster than Primeval Whirl, so there's more thrill there. And there are some, I would say that the ride itself, there are fun parts, like you go backwards at a point, and you like kind of end up in a dead end and then you roll backwards, mini Expedition Everest style, sort of. So I think the coaster itself is fun, but just with the theming, there's just like nothing going on, and I don't need to spin on a roller coaster. I'm sure lots of kids will have fun on it. I'm sure this is higher on some people's tier rankings, but just for me, that's why that's a D.
Okay, fair enough. I'm always evaluating these from the Vertigo perspective as well. Like how much spin can I handle? And I can handle Cosmic Rewind, but Primeval Whirl was not a good time.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably handle this, but it's like Cosmic Rewind, I'm willing to handle it because of just how amazing that attraction is. Yes. Whereas here, it's like, do I really want to deal with this? Not really.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's move on to the C tiers. It looks like you have 3 rides in this tier.
Yes, the first attraction is Constellation Carousel. I honestly thought about bumping it up just because I love myself a carousel. A little bit of unique spin on it. Leslie, what's the universal copy on this one that I took out?
All right. Universal says, discover a new spin on carousels. Guest carriages include celestial lions, dragons, peacocks, and more. Each carriage turns 360 degrees while lifting riders up to 6 feet in the air.
Yeah, so I think they did put a nice little spin, pun intended, on the carousel here, as your ride vehicle, like your dragon or whatever you're sitting on, that spins around. There are multiple like mini wheels on the carousel, so it's not like everything's going in a circle. There's multiple levels of motion, sort of like it's like the slowest whip ride you've ever been on. It's like, you know how Aliens Rolling Saucers, you switch from like circle to circle and you kind of move around. There's a similar action happening there, but of course it's a carousel. It's really peaceful and relaxing, and the music is great. And at nighttime, it's really beautiful in there. It's fun to watch from a distance. I would say the one downside, just as a carousel, is like usually a carousel is in the middle of the park and brings a lot of atmosphere and theming. Constellation Carousel is sort of on an island, like you don't walk by it as much as you would another carousel, but that's just like a theming thing, and the water features that they put in instead of having it close, we talked about that ad nauseum on the last episode. So Constellation Carousel, nice solid carousel, a little bit of a spin on it, C tier, solid C tier attraction. Next attraction that I got here in the C tier is probably going to be a little bit controversial. Again, I think people really love this attraction. I did not love it. It's Minecart Madness, the Donkey Kong roller coaster. Leslie, why don't you say the description, and I will spoil a little bit about the neat effects that they use on this one.
Sure. So Universal says it's up to you to help Donkey Kong protect the golden banana on Minecart Madness. Enter the majestic golden temple, board your minecart, and take off in this thrilling family coaster.
Minecart Madness, TM, that is, Leslie. Come on, copyright lawyer.
All right.
So the clever thing about Minecart Madness is if you've played the Donkey Kong games, or even if you just, any minecart situation, you're often dealing with broken tracks and you're like jumping across like a chasm to get to a track or whatever. The cool thing they've done on this attraction is the actual roller coaster itself, the ride vehicle, is on a track below. And then you are on something on top of that gives you the illusion that you're riding along a track, but then the track will break at certain points and you feel like you're jumping to the next part. So a lot of cool effects there, which normally I would love. And I would say that like the theming on this is great, but it was just too bumpy for me. It wasn't enjoyable. I felt like, I think it was Michael Does Diz, but maybe someone else said that they compared it to the Matterhorn in terms of what it does to your back. I didn't feel it that badly, but it was just a bit of a rough ride. I'm not a huge Donkey Kong fan, and so I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. The theming is pretty good, though, and I'm not saying this is a bad attraction, but just for me, it's like a solid C tier. It's just it just does what it means to accomplish, but that's not anything that's blowing my socks off.
Yeah, it seems like maybe they invested all of the development into the visual effect and then didn't focus on the ride experience itself. I mean, if it already feels like Matterhorn, and this is a new coaster, I mean, there's no reason that a steel coaster of any sort should feel bumpy in this day and age. Like Matterhorn's, like, there's a reason for it. It's ancient. So that's surprising and a little bit of a bummer. I mean, how, other than being bumpy, how thrilling is it, say, like for younger kids? I mean, is it going to be too much, or are kids going to be okay with it as a starter coaster?
I think your son's going to be okay.
Okay.
If that's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking about.
There's not like, I would say, it didn't seem more intense than Seven Dwarfs to me, or something like that. It's not on the level of Big Thunder, which can get pretty intense. I would maybe just because of the thrill factor of feeling like you're going to jump from one track to the other, that might add a little bit of thrill and chills, I guess. But your son is old enough. I know he doesn't love roller coasters, but he's old enough to know that that's not the actual track. He'll figure out what's going on. He'll figure out what's going on behind that ride vehicle before he even gets on. So he's
already seen the YouTube videos, Joe. Come on.
Yeah.
He's already seen them.
So he's not going to actually be scared by that. So that provides like a little bit of extra excitement. But yeah, I think most kids will be fine. Kids don't mind the bumps as much as us 40 somethings do. So I think he'll be okay.
All right. Well, what's your last attraction in the C tier?
My last attraction in the C tier is Yoshi's Adventure. I was very, very tempted to put it in the D tier, but I did not. Before I say why, give us a little bit of what Universal has to say about Yoshi's.
All right. They say a colorful adventure the little ones will love. Take a ride with Yoshi's and search for the glowing eggs in this enchanting family-friendly attraction. So what'd you think, Joe?
This is a slow-moving attraction that gives you a great overview of Super Nintendo World. You get not quite a bird's eye view, but a higher view, and you get some beautiful sights of the land. The story, which I didn't even pick up because I was riding with a friend, we were just chatting the whole time. There are 3 different colored eggs on the attraction. Every time you see it, you're supposed to hit the correct color, and then at the end you'll get a golden egg. Obviously designed for the youngest of children, even though, again, a 40-something-year-old could not handle the game aspect of this attraction. But really, it's just a chill ride. People think it's as good as the People Mover. No, it's not. It's not as long, and you're not moving fast enough for the wind to be in your hair, which I think makes a very big difference, because when it is 95 degrees out, which is what it was when I was on Yoshi's Island, I just could not wait till the short indoor section of the attraction. I may have just called it Yoshi's Island. I meant Yoshi's Adventure, but old Nintendo fans will know. So it's fine. The kids will like it. The reason why I kept it in the C tier and didn't drop it to D tier is because it does provide a lovely view of Super Nintendo World. I do feel like if I was there in the winter, I might just ride that attraction over and over to enjoy it. But just nothing. I mean, the theming is great. Super Nintendo World is great, but it's just not a great attraction overall. Also note, we did talk about how there's stairs everywhere. There are stairs to get on this attraction. So if you're taking your little kids on this attraction, they're going to have to walk up a flight of stairs to get there. It is inside a nice little treehouse situation, though, so it is cute when you walk up those stairs.
Yeah, this sounds to me most like, I don't know if you've been to Islands of Adventure and the Seuss Landing section where they have kind of a little people mover that sees that entire land, which, I don't think is as good as the people mover at Walt Disney World, but it does give you a good overview. So this seems kind of in that same vein, and Universal kind of has a tradition of that. So that's, again, if you're a Nintendo fan, it's nice that there are 3 rides, and it's nice that there's something for littles, because it doesn't sound like there's as much in this park for littles to do. So checks that box, but I guess Universal could have done a little bit more, it sounds like.
Yeah, people are going to enjoy it. They're going to ride it. But again, it's just solid C tier, nothing amazing to write home about. All right, before we get to B, A, and S tiers, we're going to take a little break, and then we'll be right back to finish up our tier list. All right, next on the tier list, B tier. The first one I have on this list is Dragon Racers Rally. Dumbo, but you're riding on a dragon and you can flip the dragon over. I think the theming on this attraction is great. The idea behind this attraction is great. The fact that you can flip your dragon over in a full 360 as you're moving the wings, you physically hold on to the wings of the dragon. And the premise of the ride is you're like learning how to fly on a dragon, and you can flip the wing. You can flip the whole entire thing over if you get it just right, if you build up enough momentum throughout the ride. So it's a lot of fun. The reason why I keep it in a B tier is, I think they were talking about this on Disney Dish, you just cannot get a lot of people on this ride at one time. And the load times are super slow because you have to have unlike Dumbo, you have to have a super good harness on because you are flipping in 360 if you want to. You don't have to flip 360 at all. I should say, if you don't want to flip, you're not going to get sick. So it'll be fine. But yeah, that's Dragon Racers Rally. That's B tier. What does Universal have to say about it, Leslie?
At Dragon Racers Rally, Burke's New Vikings can practice aerobatic maneuvers and high-speed barrel rolls on a Viking-made dragon riding trainer. Aerobatic. I know that's an interesting word. Is that a real word, Joe?
I think they made it up.
Acrobatic? I don't know. Something like that.
I never heard that.
But I have questions, Joe. Okay, so you say you can spin your dragon upside down. This makes me think of the carnival rides of old where you're just hanging from a harness and it hurts, and it's not like a fun upside down. I don't think you flipped it all the way, but is it fun?
This is a great question. I was worried I would get sick. I rode this twice. If I rode it a third time, I might have tried to flip it. So you're holding 2 wings, and what happens is actually if you flap the wings reverse of each other, so unlike a bird that's flapping together, you flap up and down, what will happen is you start rocking left and right. And as you keep going, it's like a swing. You just keep rocking more and more and more. And if you get enough momentum, unlike a swing, you will flip all the way over. And so you do a quick 360, but you don't really hang upside down, because if you've built up enough momentum to flip, you are just going to kind of flip over. And usually it takes the whole entire ride to build up that much momentum. I was watching a woman in front of me do it, and we were cheering her on because she got it to flip really the last time we went around. So you're not going to be hanging upside down for a long time. I will say the harness felt very secure. So if you flip, it's not going to be uncomfortable. There's another attraction where people were complaining about the safety system. I didn't experience that, but we'll get to that when we get there. So I think overall, it's a lot of fun. I feel like, I think I said this already, but my kids are going to try to flip. And if they do, I think they're going to be tickled pink if they pull it off.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it's not just dangling from a harness upside down, which is that is not fun. So this sounds like a little bit more of a niche kind of way of doing this attraction.
Yeah.
It sounds like maybe there's some G forces that are kind of keeping you as you're flipping.
Yeah,
Not to the
momentum, angular momentum, something, something, P equals mv. I don't know,
you're
but
the science teacher.
but I think the other thing is it actually, I wouldn't say skill, but it takes a decent amount of effort and practice to get it to go. And so once you've gotten to that level where you can get it, I mean, in that sense, you are training to ride a dragon because, there's a little bit of skill involved, timing, maybe understanding angular momentum and stuff like that. So I think not most people are not going to flip, and that's going to be fine. And the people who flip are going to be super excited about it because I think it's the kind of thing. I'll just use this woman again as an example. When she flipped, her friend and the others of us were on it. We were just all cheering for her because she was trying to get it the whole time. And she got it, and it was super exciting. So, I think it's going to be that kind of thing.
All right, well, let's turn to your last attraction in the B tier.
All right, so my next two picks are probably going to be slightly controversial. My next B tier attraction is Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. Leslie, I know this is the attraction your son is most excited about. What is Universal's description for this?
All right, in this interactive ride, you'll collect digital coins and throw shells to try to defeat Team Bowser and win the Golden Cup. I mean, I think a lot of people know what this is based on. Mario Kart, super popular Nintendo game that pretty much everybody has played, I think. Even I have played it.
Yes. So it's not moving super fast like in actual Mario Kart, but it's a slow moving attraction. It is, I would say it's an evolution of a Toy Story Mania type attraction where you're now wearing, I guess it's not technically VR, it's technically AR goggles. And you kind of see the stuff that you're shooting at and the shells that you're shooting through these goggles that you're wearing. I will say that they're very comfortable. And when I first heard about this ride, I was like, this is going to be unsanitary. How are they going to deal with people wearing goggles all the time? It's actually very smart. You put this helmet thing on, which I guess they have to sanitize those, but the goggles are actually a magnetic thing that goes on top like a visor, like shades almost on front, except for they're clear. So you see everything that's happening through there. I did not do a good enough job paying attention during the tutorial, although Patreon and listener Sam C reached out to me after my Patreon trip report and said, I didn't get the game the first time I played either, and neither did his kids. Maybe my kids will pick it up better, but it was a bit confusing to play. I would definitely be frustrated if I had waited 120 minutes to get on that attraction and then I couldn't figure out how to play until like the last 1 minute of the game. So there's a learning curve there. I think also I have it in the B tier because my expectations were too high for it, which is unfair to Mario Kart a little bit, but in the end, it is my tier ranking. And, it was a solid, fun attraction, but it's not an attraction that I am dying to go on. I think my kids are going to love it. It just didn't blow me away.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you do have a learning curve is a problem because, like you say, as the wait can be really long for it. I mean, it sounds to me a lot like Web Slingers at Disney California Adventure, which I love riding now because I ride it all the time and I know all the tips and tricks, and it's really a lot of fun for me the repeatability of it. But if you have to wait in a 2-hour line to ride it, then the repeatability is the challenge. So this may be one that gets better with age, if it's anything like Web Slingers. I don't know.
I think so. I think the good and bad thing is they actually made this harder than a Web Slingers or a Toy Story Mania or something like that because you run out of ammunition. And it's not like the learning curve is not figuring out how to shoot, which there's still a learning curve for that. And apparently I've been told that where your eyes are looking, that is the vector that your shells get shot. I mean, just the fact that I even have to talk about this kind of illustrates how much trickier the learning curve is. But you get shells by driving well, and then you run out if you fire them all off all at once. So it's not even learning curve. Like, I guess it's a good thing, especially for kids. The game is so complicated. It gives you a feeling of accomplishment like a video game would, except for if you have to wait 2 hours to play every single time. That's very different than if you have to wait even 10, 15 minutes. So I think that's why overall it's a B tier attraction for me. But that's not going to be as controversial as my one A tier list attraction, Leslie, which some people, for many people actually, is the favorite ride in Epic Universe, and that is Harry Potter Battle of the Ministry. That attraction only was an A tier for me. I got to Epic Universe thinking that would be an S tier attraction, but it only made it into the A tier for me. What does Universal have to say about the Battle of the Ministry?
Travel from Metro flew from Paris to the British Ministry of Magic, TM, where Dolores Umbridge, TM, is about to stand trial. Board a lift and join Harry, Ron, and Hermione as you journey deep into the Ministry's many departments. Lots of TMs in there.
Dolores Umbridge is trademarked. Interesting. Interesting. Yes. So let me start by saying, if I just had to give this queue and the overall Ministry of Magic a ranking, that is S tier. That is S plus tier in terms of just the Ministry. It is amazing. Probably the best queue that I've ever walked through. Your jaw will drop if you've seen the movies at just how well. I heard someone say they could, if they had to do reshoots for the movie, they could do it here. And I don't know if I can argue with that. So amazing queue, S tier queue. But the attraction itself, only A tier for me for two reasons. Number one, the ride vehicle is very herky-jerky. You're sitting in an elevator, which is basically the Tower of Terror ride vehicle, but it's like moving up and down and it's jerking around a lot. I don't love that. It also loads really slowly, so I think this attraction is going to have a lot of, it's not going to get through as many people, and so there's going to be longer waits for it. So that dings it for me as well. And then even though the animatronics are amazing, I mean, the animatronics, you just take the animatronics themselves, S tier for sure. But I just don't think they did as good a job merging the animatronics with the screens as, you know, one of the later attractions that we're going to talk about. And also, I saw Universal bragging that outside of like the Sphere in Las Vegas, Ministry of Magic, the Battle of the Ministry attraction has like the second, third, and fourth largest LCD screens in the United States or something like that. I feel like, to me, that's a bug, not a feature. Like, it was just too big. It was like everything. I mean, I guess it like built the scale, and maybe if I wrote it again, I would appreciate it more. But I was like, this is just too big. I would much rather a more intimate, equally intense attraction. And so I'm not saying that it wasn't like really fun and really good, but that's why it's just an A tier attraction for me, not an S tier.
Okay, definitely a controversial call, but I mean, I guess it's fair. I've seen way more about the queue than I have about the ride itself, and so that probably speaks to the fact that that is the highlight, is the queue itself. So I definitely want to ride this one. So one day. All right, let's move on to the S tier, because you have 3 attractions in the S tier, which is high praise. And I'm trying to think, Joe, about our rankings so far at Walt Disney World. Like, how many are in our S tiers across 4 parks? Probably not that many more than that. So impressive.
I agree. It's impressive to have 3 S tier attractions. Of course, there's recency bias as well, since I first rode these attractions, unlike stuff in Disney where we're ranking them, but we've been riding them for years. But my first S tier attraction is Hiccup's Wing Gliders. Leslie, what's this attraction about? We're back at the Isle of Berk.
All right, take a flight on Hiccup's Winged Gliders. From Hiccup's workshop comes his latest contraption, a winged flying machine that launches aspiring dragon riders into the air, swooping and soaring and encountering Hiccup and Toothless along the way.
So this attraction is a lot of fun. It's a themed family roller coaster. Great animatronics in it. There's a story in it. I think one thing that really helps is there are speakers. So Hiccup is kind of giving you instructions as you're learning how to fly and move with dragons. And this wing glider is supposed to train you for that. That's the story behind it. But Hiccup's talking to you throughout it. You hear Toothless at times. You see Toothless. You see Hiccup. And they're blaring the How to Train Your Dragon music all the while that this attraction is going on. So that's what makes it S tier for me. It's so much fun. You're totally immersed. immersed enough that even though you can, again, see a little bit backstage, I'm sure you won't be able to eventually, but it doesn't matter. You're just having so much fun. The one ding that I've heard on this attraction that I did not experience is that people say that if you shift, or if you like kind of, depending on how you're fiddling with the harness while you're on the attraction itself, people said it started pinching down really tightly on their laps. There's no shoulder harness. It's just on your laps. There's no flips or anything here. It's just a total go straight coaster. And so just thought I'd point that out, since that's something people have mentioned. But I didn't experience that. I rode this 2 or 3 times. It was a ton of fun. S tier for me.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds like one that I can take the 11-year-old on. And the theming does sound really well done. This is maybe the equivalent of Slinky Dog Dash for Epic Universe. Is that a fair comparison?
Yeah, it's a little bit more intense, but not much more intense than that. And I just think the music like really makes it. It really helps to just get you into the mood of the attraction the whole entire way. Next attraction, Stardust Racers. I did not know that I was actually riding a shooting star across the cosmos as I was on Stardust Racers, Leslie. But what else does Universal have to say about Stardust Racers?
All right. Ride a shooting star across the cosmos is the subtitle. Share a race across the cosmos on Stardust Racers, a breathtaking dual launch coaster reaching incredible speeds up to 62 miles per hour. Board a comet and rocket to the furthest reaches of the stars at heights up to 133 feet along 5,000 feet of track. I mean, everything I've heard about this is that it's a fantastic, fantastic coaster. Have you ridden Velocicoaster? And if so, can you put it in sort of relation to that?
I haven't, because they wanted us to ride it after we had just eaten dinner, so I had to pass. I think most people say that most people feel like Stardust takes it by a hair, because of the aspect where you're racing another coaster at the same time and you can get 2 different experiences. I think the theming on Velocicoaster is better because, you got dinosaurs jumping out at you and that kind of thing. But Stardust itself, I think people really enjoy the racing aspect of it. And at night, it just becomes a next level attraction because there's like no lighting on the coaster. The only lighting is the ride itself, the car itself. So it really looks like 2 comets shooting through the air. There are 2 inversions on this attraction, or maybe 2 and change, the only ride with inversions in Epic Universe. There's a big loop, and then there's a bit of a twist, a loop and a twist. Each come after you. There's like 2 launches during this attraction. I think the best thing I can say about this is I was most afraid to go on this, but it's probably not in the top 3 of attractions at Epic that I felt sick getting off of. So Curse of the Werewolf made me feel worse. Harry Potter made me feel worse. This was a very smooth coaster. It's a lot of up and down, but less side to side. So that was good for me. And I was just having so much fun that it didn't even really matter. And again, like Velocicoaster, no shoulder harness because they just have it on your lap and they're just physics again, centripetal force and all that. But overall, it's just so much fun. Pro tip, the green side is supposed to be more intense. So if you want something a little bit less intense, stick to the yellow side. Information that would have been useful to me before I got strapped in on the green coaster.
That's right. But you live to tell the tale. So that's good to know. And I did not realize it was just a lap harness. That always adds to the thrills of these like crazy coasters. So
I felt like
I always afraid I'm going to fall out, you know? Like,
the inversions weren't a problem at all. Like you don't feel like you're going to fall out there or anything like that. I've had an issue when you're at the top of some of these big crests and, there's like an inch of space between you and the lap bar. But that inch of space feels like 3 inches when you get at the top of one of those, when you crest one of those hills. So added to the fun, a little bit unnerving, but you figure they've done their, OSHA's been through here. We're going to be okay. So much fun, Stardust Racers. I was surprised, honestly. If you had asked me before, this would be the attraction that I would think I would ding just because I'm not as much of a roller coaster person anymore and put in the A tier or even the B tier just because it's not for me. But I was surprised at how much this coaster was for me, which is just a testament to how much fun it is, despite me being old.
All right, Joe, well, we have one more ride, and I know what it is because we talked about it on our last Epic Universe episode. So why don't you tell us why you put Monsters Unchained in the S tier?
This is S tier. This is my favorite attraction in the park. One of my favorite attractions, really, in all of theme parks now. Universal says, in Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment, Dr. Victoria Frankenstein, great-great-granddaughter of the original, continues the work of her ancestors deep below the family estate. A demonstration of her experiments to control monsters goes awry when Dracula leads a revolt of enraged monsters, including the Wolfman, the Mummy, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and more. This attraction is so much fun. I do think it's important to have that context of the story that's going on. I think the one thing that is missing is like you can miss what's happening in the story if you're not paying attention. But if you know that this is the story going in, you're just going to have a lot of fun as no jump scares, but monsters keep breaking out. And then Dr. Victoria and Frankenstein's monster, they start battling these monsters and, you know, you're trying to stay safe. We talked about it on the main episode, but this Kuka arm ride attraction is so smooth. You feel way less sick than you think you would with an arm like spinning you back and forth and flipping you up and down. You don't flip upside down, but like you sometimes lean all the way back. So I rode this 3 times. I had so much fun. The animatronics are amazing. And this, compared to Battle of the Ministry, I feel like I just feel like they did a much better job of integrating the screens with the animatronics. So I really love this attraction. Best attraction in Epic Universe for me, and S tier for sure.
All right, so you've got a great theme, you've got a unique ride vehicle, and then you've stuffed it full of animatronics. It sounds like a really powerful combination. I'm excited to ride this. Now maybe it's on the tier for me of the Battle of the Ministry for what I'm most looking forward to.
For both those attractions, like, let's hope these animatronics keep working because this is truly next level stuff. And like, that's the main thing. We'll see how it does over the summer when it's so hot. But at least all the show buildings are incredibly inside, unlike something like Tiana's where, there's a lot of openings, so a lot of that humidity can still seep in there.
Yeah, Tiana's has definitely suffered on both coasts with a lot of broken animatronics. So let's see if Universal can win this battle with Disney in the coming months. All right, Joe. Well, that brings us to the end. Really appreciated hearing your rankings. Let's close it out with a Universal do or don't.
Yeah, I think my Universal don't is going to be don't rope drop the Battle of the Ministry. I think for a while we are going to see Rise of the Resistance type situation there where it's just too broken in the morning. It's not reliable enough in the morning. We saw this on opening day. It was closed for the first 5 hours. The people went there first, wasted 2 hours of the day before they went to go switch. Of course, Universal has like opened up park capacity and stuff like that, so other attractions are getting longer rides. But I would say don't rope drop Battle of the Ministry. Go to one of the other S tier attractions or headliners. There's a lot of good options. I probably personally would go to Hiccups first just because maybe I could get 2 rides in on it before the crowds get there. And really, Isle of Berk is a great place to start. There's a lot of things to do, and you can have a lot of fun there and then make your way elsewhere. But yeah, don't rope drop the Ministry. I think it's just too unreliable right now. If you're listening to this in a year, they probably fixed most of the reliability issues. Hopefully they have. And then that calculus might change. But for now, don't rope drop the battle.
All right. Great tip.
All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for listening. We'd love to hear what your tier rankings are. If you've already been to Epic Universe, let us know. DisneyDeciphered@gmail.com, at DisneyDeciphered all over social media. Leslie, I think I'm going to write this up for you eventually, but where can people find your work and even some of my writing on the internet?
TripsWithTykes.com is the blog. I'm at TripsWithTykes everywhere on social media. Joe, where can folks find you and book a Universal trip?
At As Joe Flies on social media, and Joseph Chung at travelmation.net if you're looking to book a trip. All right, we promise we're done with Universal for quite a long time now. So thank you so much, everyone, for your patience if you are a Disney-only type person. But again, always exciting if a new theme park opens, especially one of this scale. So thank you everybody again for listening. Other than that, Leslie, thank you for taking the time to talk to me, and I will see you forcing your son on the forced march of happiness to go on all the roller coasters at Universal.
Thanks, Joe.